Welcome everyone. My name is Dzan Ta from Repro Products. Our presentation today is on Autodesk Revit for Collaboration. Our agenda will cover a brief overview of Repro Products as a company, and then we'll get into A360 Collaboration for Revit. We'll understand what it is, why do we use it, how does it actually work, what are the system requirements, what are the pros and cons of this particular software, and then actually go into the demonstration of the software. And when we are doing the demonstration, we'll actually look at it from the perspective of the administrator versus an end user. So a little bit about Repro Products. We have been in the business for well over 30 years. We're actually quite diversified in our portfolio. We provide services in the printing and production environment for all the AEC industry. We sell and support all of the equipment, everything from printers, copiers, plotters, wide format, all the supplies, and servicing as well. We also are resellers for Xerox, Canon, OSE, Autodesk, KIP, and so on and so forth. We have an entire software division that is dedicated to Autodesk platform, and we sell and support all of our products as well as train on those Autodesk products. We also have a 3D reality capture division that provides services for 3D laser scanning and point cloud services. We're also an authorized Bluebeam reseller, and we do training as well. We also have a sister company called The Color Spot that is nearby, and they actually focus in on vehicle graphics, signage, wayfaring, so on and so forth. So for those who are local to our office in Smyrna, Georgia, if you haven't had a chance, stop by our office and take a tour. Anybody here in the office can stop what they're doing and give you a quick tour.
Multiple models, with each model progressing independently of the others within each firm's network, and using a different method of exchanging files for nearly every project. How many times have you thought, there's got to be a better way, a faster way, a way to unify the people and the data? Well, there is. Welcome to your team's new way to work. Welcome to Autodesk A360 Collaboration for Revit. Built on Autodesk's powerful cloud collaboration workspace, A360, Collaboration for Revit offers a unified design and communication service accessible by team members and stakeholders. Now, team members from multiple locations or firms can access a common set of building information models to design, solve problems, provide feedback, communicate, and to deliver the project on time and on budget. This happens in real time across multiple networks and without complex and expensive IT build-outs, meaning you can easily collaborate even if one team is in Boston and the other 3 time zones away. You simply start a project in A360, add your models, invite your team members, and begin working together. Even non-designers can use a web browser or mobile device to track what's happening in the activity stream. You can search for any component or view the model. And all this is available from your desktop, tablet, or smartphone. The future of them is here, connecting your project data, your communication, and your entire team. It's A360 Collaboration for Revit. Try it out now and let the teamwork begin.
So let's go ahead and focus in on what is A360 Collaboration for Revit. It is a cloud-based platform that allows multiple people in multiple companies anywhere in the world to work together, collaborate on an actual Revit model, a single central Revit model, and also provide all the communication between the stakeholders and all of the information that comes along with it. From the perspective of Revit, traditional workflow, it's always been a local area network environment with work sharing, where we have multiple people working on a single Revit model in an office environment. When we get to a situation where we have multiple offices, then we have to introduce another type of platform, say Revit Server, that allows for multi-offices to work together. However, with A360 Collaboration for Revit, it extends this power by allowing other people in other companies, not just a single domain, to work together in a wide area network environment. So our Revit model actually lives in the cloud on Autodesk servers. With the way the functionality of the software performs, it allows for any delta changes and local caching to be accelerated, if you will, with a Revit Server Accelerator software within the actual workstation to transfer data back and forth. The changes are obviously retrieved early and often, and the information that needs to be transferred from a workstation to the master central model is much faster. It gives us the ability to have multiple firms in multiple locations, for example, firm A in Chicago and Boston, to work with firm B, maybe a structural engineering firm, in a different location to collaborate into a single Revit model on a single location. There are multiple tools within the A360 Collaboration for Revit platform, and the main tool is called the Communicator. It gives everyone the ability to chat back and forth. It gives everybody the ability to produce screenshots and actually communicate as a team within that Revit environment. Now, taking a look at the system requirements for A360 Collaboration for Revit, it is a subscription-based service, and you must have web access. For those who actually need to author the Revit model, as in opening up the Revit model and making changes, those users not only need to have the subscription and also the A360 C4R entitlement within their account, but that cost is $800 per user per year. It breaks down to roughly $3.50, I think, a day. For those who are not actually authoring the Revit model, there is no cost, so you can set up as many users as you need to access the A360 hub for that project and take a look at all the data stream information. You have to ensure that your Revit software is up to date, and the easiest way to do this is through the Autodesk desktop application. It used to be called the Autodesk Application Manager. So once you fire that up, you can go through and update all of your Autodesk products on your workstation. And in there, it will show you that you have A360 Collaboration for Revit as an add-in to be able to be downloaded and installed. At the same time, it will also update your Revit software to the latest build. Again, you need to make sure that this A360 C4R entitlement is within the subscription account and assigned to the particular Revit users who need authoring of the Revit model. So for that, you need to make sure you get with your contract administrator to help have him set things up properly. And lastly, the local workstations obviously need to meet Revit system requirements. There are a lot of pros and cons in regards to the software. The pros, obviously, biggest advantage is it can work on any company, any domain, any location. The second biggest ability is that you don't have to worry about expensive IT infrastructure rework. In other words, you don't have to have an IT specialist come in and configure each of the locations in each of the workstations. And then lastly, it obviously allows for easy communication and collaboration of the project and the data of the project between all the stakeholders. There are some negative aspects, obviously, and the first is you need to have web access. And obviously, since you need to have web access, there will be situations where your network is down due to the connection issue, maybe your provider or something. So you need to have IT backups in place. You don't need to have subscription. A lot of people I know forego having their Autodesk software on subscription. And in order for you to use A360 Collaboration for Revit, your software must be on subscription. And then you have to purchase the A360 Collaboration for Revit for the Revit authoring end users. And those users need to have it show up on their user accounts as well. For those who need to work in this collaborative fashion with multiple disciplines, it can only be done obviously online. So we have to assume that those that are in each of the discipline-specific companies have that capability. And there may not be a situation where that's possible. Lastly, saving your data back to the master central model is obviously going to be dependent upon that particular location's pipeline speed. If, for example, you're still on, say, DSL, your upload and download speeds are only going to be so fast. So you have to take that into consideration. And with that, let's go ahead and get into the actual demonstration of the software. We're going to go ahead and look at it from two different perspectives. The first perspective is from the team administrator level, the one who is the owner, if you will, of this particular software enablement. We'll get into how to access the hub, how to set up a project, how to input information that is non-Revit, how to set up users, how to ensure that the A360C4R has rights have been assigned to those users. We will also get into how to log into, obviously, the A360C4R for Revit from within Revit, and how to upload a Revit model to the A360C4R hub/project that you've created. That's the first part of the demonstration. The second part of the demonstration we'll get into from the perspective of an end user. You are not the team administrator. You are just part of the team that needs to actually do the Revit authoring. So we'll get into how do you log in to the A360C4R hub, how to open up a Revit model from within Revit, and understanding the difference between opening a regular model versus a central model versus one that's on the actual 360C4R hub. And then obviously how to save the data and what's going on the back end. And with that, let's jump into Revit. Okay, so now let's go ahead into the demonstration of A360C4R. Our perspective is now actually from the team administrator level. This is the one who owns the actual A360 hub, the one who's purchased the software and the entitlements, and 9 times out of 10 is the one who is the contract administrator for the company for Autodesk software. So right off the bat, the first thing you need to do is you need to go to autodesk.com/account and log in as the contract administrator. Here I am in Chrome. You can use Chrome or Internet Explorer or Firefox. And I've logged in as our company's contract administrator. Once you've logged in, you'll go ahead and scroll down and take a look at all of the products that are available to you. You should see A360 Collaboration for Revit since you've purchased it. It will tell you how many seats that you have. You can expand this and you can get into the details of when does it expire, serial number, product key, things like that. So first off, as a contract administrator, you need to make sure that that is there. The second thing you need to do is you need to set up the users. So if I go over here to the users icon, it will list all of the users that are within the company Autodesk account. You need to create all the users that you need for accessing your Autodesk account software and services. So if I need to add a new user, I can click Add, and I can do them individually or I can do bulk add. What you'll need to do is put in the person's email address, first name, last name, and if you hit Save and Continue, you'll get into the details of the rights and what that end user has access to. I'm going to go into my particular account, and you'll see here I can click Edit Access, and it will show the name of the user and all of the benefits and services that that person has available to them. You can see I have 2 contracts that are available to me, and within those contracts list all of the software that's available. Make sure it lists for each of the users you have A360 Collaboration for Revit. Now that you've done this and you've set up the users to have their rights for using A360 Collaboration for Revit, those are the ones that have Revit authoring capability. Okay. For those who just need access to the hub site, they just need to have a user account set up within the Autodesk accounts main page. So now that that's finished as the team administrator, you want to log into your hub. And so I'm going to log into my hub as the end user, not the contract administrator, team administrator. Okay. Just because for this particular A360 hub that I have set up, I have full access. So we'll go ahead and we'll sign in. And right off the bat, it's going to take you to your A360 hub and all of your projects and your dashboard. So let's start from the main A360 hub link. Here it's going to give you your dashboard. Your dashboard basically says these are all the activities that's going on in the entire hub, irrespective of whatever project. So you're going to see tons of things that are happening in these little bits of information that says what files were uploaded or modified, things like that, and the all the hub activity or just your particular network hub activity. Okay. You have links for projects, data, people, calendar, and wiki. You have the ability to search within the A360 site. You have any notifications that will pop up in red with this icon that you can click. You can get into your username, password, your profile, all of your settings, being able to invite other people to your particular hubs, and actually go into the main administration of software. And it will obviously list all of your subscription entitlements. Okay. Now, for projects, if I click this link, it will take me to the projects page and it will list all the different A360 C4R projects that are in my actual hub. And I have a lot of them in here. I have one for a standard 2016 demo. I've got one for a 2015 demo because remember Revit is version specific. So guess what? A360 Collaboration for Revit is also version specific. So you'll want to make sure you set up all of your projects specifically in the versions that you're working with. And so that's the projects. You can click data to get into a list of all the data that you have in all of the hubs. You have people. And if I click people, it will list all the people that are inside my hub that I have given access to. If you click calendar, it will give you an HTML-based calendar that you can start putting information so other people can get an idea of what's going on scheduling-wise. You have your own wiki page as well for each project. And this is kind of like your personal web page for each of the projects. And it's a good way to get people to see, hey, what's going on this particular project? Like, what are the milestones? What's the to-do list for the day or for the week? And that's what the wiki page is for. I'm going to head back to projects. And before we get into the process of creating a new project and uploading files and going through all the basics like that, let's go back to the account. And if you go to admin, this will take you to the administration page of your A360 hub. This is where you as a team administrator control everything about the software and about the accessing of the software. You have team information, signing up methodology, summaries, manage, so on and so forth. This presentation is not going to cover every little tidbit, but I'm going to focus in on just a few things. For example, if we go to team members, we can click summary, and we can get a list of how many people are active and how many have not joined. If I click manage, we can get basically a Excel list, if you will, of all the people that are inside your hub, who they are, what their level and role is, and whether they're active or not active. When did they last were active in your hub, and the ability for you to deactivate or change their role. If we get into things like the projects and click Manage Projects, this will list all of the projects that you have in your hub, what their names are, what category, when were they created, who owns them, and then what the assigned roles are, which obviously you can click into and adjust. And then you can also activate or deactivate a particular project. If I click under Content and say Featured Content, it will change and give you the information that's in here. So that's just some basic information in regards to the admin aspect of the software. Okay. Now, lastly, within this, before we get into projects, for administrators, I'm the only one listed as the administrator. I can actually add other team members to have administrative rights if I need to. Okay. So let's head back to projects. And again, here's a list of all the projects that are available. I want to go through the process of creating a brand new project. Over here on the right-hand side, you have Upload that gives you the ability to upload files to a particular hub. But before you do that, you actually have to create the hub. So we're going to go create the project within the hub. So here under Create, I can click Project. It will ask me to give it a name. So we're going to call this A360 or Revit Demo Online Test. And we're going to put in here testing purposes for recording session, something like that. Now, there are different types of projects that are available. You have open, closed, and secret. Open project is basically that. It's open. Anybody and everybody that has access to your hub has access to that particular project. You don't typically choose open as a type of project when you're actually collaborating on a Revit project with a specific team within your company, because a simple example would be you're in an office, you have 4 teams of Revit authoring people, and team A is for a particular associate for the company, team B is a second associate, and his team, team C and D, so on and so forth. You don't necessarily want to have team D associate and their members accessing team A's projects, if you will. The only time you actually create a Revit C4R project that's completely open is if everybody's just collaborating at one time. You can choose closed, and that will actually restrict it to only the users that have been invited to that particular project. Okay. And then secret is for those who need to make a very quiet, if you will, project, and not even the team administrator has access to that data. I have yet to see and understand why you would need to create one like that for a particular project, but maybe it's for experimentation purposes to kind of test some maybe additional add-in software that you might have written for Revit that may or may not function with A360 C4R. So for now, I'm going to choose closed. You can go ahead and invite team members to the project here, and any contributors here if you need to as well. For this team members and projects, I'm going to put in my second account like so. And then I'm going to click Create. The A360 C4R hub will go ahead and create that project. Basically, it's a high-end top-level folder. And now it's going to show you, it says A360 Collaboration for Revit Demo Online Test. That's kind of a long name, but I just did it for the purposes of our video. You want to make sure your project names are clean and concise and not too terribly long, because obviously you can see you have some text issues at the end. We can get into the settings of the software of that particular project here. We can see who the project members are right off the bat and what activity has already occurred. We can upload data, or we can create particular items like folders if we want to within this particular project. So the first thing we'll do is we'll go to People, and you'll see here's the project members. I'm there. We have a request and invited. So here's one that we said, let's invite. And once that person receives the email, you can also send a reminder, by the way, and it'll tell you that it was sent. That end user, once they click the link to accept access to the project, then this invited portion will disappear, and he or she will show up here as well. Okay, I'm going to leave that alone for now. Let's head over to Data. In the Data tab, think of this as just another blank folder within your project, and there's nothing in there right now. You can upload content. Okay, there's tons of content you can upload, and it isn't just Revit files. You can upload anything you want. Typically, a lot of people will set up their folder structure similar to how they have it set up on their server back at the office. So for example, I'll click New Folder, and I'll put in here Conceptual Design Phase. And you create a folder. And maybe we need to do Schematic Design Phase, and say Design Development Phase, and Construction Document Phase. And so you can create obviously as many folders as you want. We can get into any one of those. Let's get into Construction Document Phase. And we'll create a new folder, and we'll put in here Revit Model. Save. And this is where I want to put in my actual Revit model that's going to be my master central model for everybody to have access to and function and work with. Now again, like I said, every company works differently in regards to how they collaborate and input data for the Revit model and any other types of files and correspondences within their server. So it really is going to have to boil down to how you structure within your office, and you would want to most likely mimic that up here in the project hub to make it easier for everybody else. It doesn't have to be that way, but it's kind of logical this way. So now that I have that set up, again, I can go to Calendar and input any data that I need, and go to the wiki page and input anything that I need. So let's head back to Data, and back to Construction Document Phase in the Revit model. I want to upload the data here. Okay, I can either click Upload and upload files. Now, if you just drag and drop or upload a Revit file into this location, you've actually not initiated creating a Revit A360 Collaboration for Revit model. You've just uploaded a file that doesn't have that capability. So this really is meant for you to upload all the different files that you need as a whole for the project. Revit files themselves, the best way to do this is to actually do it from within the software. So I'm going to cancel this for now. And we're going to head over into Revit. And again, as a team administrator, open up a Revit model and figure out how to upload it to your hub. So here I am in Revit 2016. If you notice under the Collaborate tab, you'll have Manage Collaborations. And if you have A360 Collaboration for Revit installed properly, you will have the Communicator icon, and you will have Manage Models for managing the A360 models and the views that you will publish to that hub, so that anybody that doesn't have Revit can access that hub and see all of the model and sheets and views, if you will, that you've published that says this is a record set, if you will. So I'm going to go back over here. I'm going to click Open and go into my server, my local file server at the office, get to the model that I want to work with. I'm going to click Open. And at this point, all you're really doing is you're just opening up a Revit model. That Revit model may or may not be set up with work sets already. Okay? 9 times out of 10, they aren't because you're about to push this up to the A360 C4R site. So I'm going to head over to the Collaborate tab, and you can click Collaborate because you can see work sets has not been initialized. So if I click Collaborate, first thing it's going to do is it's going to bring up this window that says, hey, how do you want to collaborate? Because there's 2 ways to collaborate, either within your network or via using the A360. If you choose the first one, collaborate within your network, that's just like you working in the standard Revit mode with work sharing, and the file is a central model on your local file server at your local office. If you choose to collaborate using A360, this is the one where it says we're creating an A360 C4R model, and it's going to be pushed up to your hub for that particular project that you just created. So in this case, I'm going to click Collaborate using A360 and click OK. It's going to bring up this window that says, hey, you're going to collaborate using A360. That model, current one, is going to be pushed up to the A360 project that you choose. And this is the name of the current Revit model. And you have to tell it what particular project hub you want to put it in. So remember, we made one earlier here called A360 Collaboration for Revit Demo Online Test. Again, try to make sure your naming convention is shorter because this gets a little cumbersome. Click Initiate. And what Revit is going to do now is it's going to grab the file, set up work sharing capability, upload the model to the A360 hub, place it in that particular project, and then you can move it to the respective subfolder if you need to move it. Okay. It is also creating a local Revit model that is a copy of the master central model on your actual workstation. So what's happening in the background in reality is you actually have Revit server installed on your laptop or your desktop that you're working with, and it's running in the background, and it's creating and working with A360 Collaboration for Revit to create an encrypted local model of your master central model. It isn't a file where you can just see it and click it and open it and say Save As. It's actually built with multiple files and database files. So it isn't something you're used to seeing like prior. So let's give it some time to create that. And when it's finished, we will get into that aspect of the software. As you can see in the lower left corner, it tells you the percentage of when it's finished or not. Now it says I have successfully initiated that collaboration. I click Close. And then you can see you have Save, and now you have Save to Central. If I click Save to Central, you're going to notice the window that pops up actually says, and let's hit the Home tab, Home button, you'll see it's actually on A360, and it's in that particular project folder you created, and that's the name of the Revit Central model that you're working with. So I'm now just saving the model back to the central A360 hub. It has initiated work sets, and all of the content. Let's head over to work sets. You will see that in this particular Revit project, work sets was not set up, and so everything has been dumped into the workset 1 default name. At this point, you have the ability to create all of your work sets like you typically do in any Revit project. So you can click New and say Building Shell. And maybe we'll do interior, walls, doors, windows, and we'll do interior, FF, and E, and so on and so forth. So you create all of the work set that you need. You go through the process of selecting objects and assigning them to their particular work sets. I'll just do this one. And that's kind of more like just a typical review, so you know. And if I select it again, you'll see it says building shell. Hit save here, and this will save the changes to your local Revit model. If you hit save to central, it will push the data back up to the master central model on your A360 hub. Click OK, and the changes will get pushed up. Any changes that have occurred since your last save to central is going to get pushed down, which means your local model may be different than the last time that you saved. So if you decide to close out this model, it may ask you to save again. It will ask you to relinquish control, and obviously, as a rule of thumb, you always relinquish control. So now we're back in Revit without a project open. Let's head back to the A360 hub. I'll hit F5 to refresh my data, and you'll notice that under data in the Revit model folder, it's not there. And that makes sense because we told it to upload the model to the main hub, which it did. It didn't upload it to the particular subfolder. So now we can take this file and we can move it to wherever we need to move it. And I want to put it here under Collaboration for Revit Demo Online Test within the actual construction document folder within the Revit model folder and hit move. Now that it's been moved, we can go back to data, go back to construction document phase, back to Revit model folder, and the file is in there. This is how you properly move a Revit model from one location to another within your hub. So let's do a quick review within PowerPoint to verify we've covered all the things we wanted to cover as a team administrator. How to access, how to set up the project, how to input data that's not Revit project, and that was nothing more than just going back to your projects, creating any folders that you want. So let's say I create a new folder and let's call it photos. Go to that particular folder and upload any files that you need. So I'll select some files and I'll just put these two in here. Click, you'll see the status checking, hit upload, and those files will get uploaded. So it's very simple, it's very easy for you to put files up there that are non-Revit files. Let's head back to the PowerPoint. Set up users, you learned how to set up the users. You learned also that they need to have their access rights. You learned obviously how to get into A360 C4R from Revit. Now, real fast while we're there. Excuse me. By default, I'm logged in to my Autodesk account because that's just how I set it up in my software. But you also have to remember that you need to go up here and make sure you've signed in. Now, if you have signed in to your Autodesk account from within the software, if you go to the options of the software, you will notice that your username is grayed out. It will look at your Autodesk account and it will change whatever your current username is to the one that's associated with your Autodesk account. Okay, just be aware of that. So if you are working on a Revit project within the company that is not on A360 C4R, and maybe it's just a regular Revit central model on the file server or using Revit server, you cannot log into your Autodesk account because if you do, you will change your username and you'll have conflicts with the software. Okay, so it's one of these things you have to think about. You can work with a regular Revit model with work sharing on your local file server as you're logged in. Just remember, Revit creates a local Revit model on your actual workstation in the traditional fashion, and it's going to look at that username. Okay. Now, if I'm here in Revit and I need to open up a model that's on the A360, you will also notice the icons will actually have a little icon in the lower right corner that says A360, like here and here and here, whereas this one does not. That's your visual clue indicator as to whether this link that you're about to click is a model on the A360 hub. So for safety's sake, it's always advisable for you to click Open. In this Open dialog box, you'll want to click A360. When you do this, it will go ahead and check your account and verify you have access to that particular feature. It will list all the projects that you have available to your particular hub. You'll want to double click that particular project to get into that project. And then you can pick the file. Now, excuse me. When we traditionally work with Revit, and it's a model that has work sharing capability and the work sets are set up, you'll notice that if you click a central model, it will automatically give you a check mark that says create new local. And if I click open, you just created a new local model on your workstation. That's the very typical traditional approach. With A360 Collaboration for Revit, when you click this particular model that's on this project, you will not have this. All you're doing is clicking open or opening with a specific work set that you're going to specify or any editable ones. What is actually happening is you're not opening up that master central model. You're opening up the encrypted, database-driven, local Revit model that's on your workstation that's tying back to the master Revit central model on that hub. You don't have to actually worry about saving local, save to central, that kind of mentality of thinking when you're opening, but you do have to when you're opening and when you're saving and saving back to central up here in the information toolbar. If I head over to work sets, you'll see which ones I have open and editable or not. So if I want to make building shell editable, this is just like standard work sharing. I become the owner, hit OK, and then I can go through the process of picking an object and changing its work set, changing it to the whatever work set that I want. So I'll just do a couple of them for the purposes of understanding. We'll hit save. So we just saved all the changes to our local Revit model. Hit save to central, and that data gets pushed back up to the master central model on our A360 hub. Hit OK. Again, if there are any changes in the central model that are different from the last time we did save to central, that information will get pushed down to your local Revit model. And if you close, if it notices that, it will tell you to save the model locally. If it doesn't, it will tell you to relinquish the control, and again, always relinquish control. And the reason we always say relinquish control is because you want to be able to have all those objects available for other people to work in that particular work set should you not be available that particular day or in the near future. Maybe you're at the doctor's office or you're taking the day off or something. If you don't relinquish control, guess what? You kind of cause headaches for people. All right. So we've also learned how to log into the Revit file. We learned how to upload and actually work with a Revit model on the A360 C4R. So at this point, let's go ahead and look at it from the perspective of you're just an end user that needs to access the files. So how do we go about doing this? Let's start, first of all, by going to my Gmail account, because I'm actually been requested by my account. As you can see here, it'll say, hey, you received an email to invitation to join a specific project. I'm going to click Access Project, and now I'm an end user that has access to this hub. Okay, so you can see if we go to People, it's going to list me. Okay, any requests and any invites. Okay, I am right now logged in as my company address. If I go and sign out, I can sign in as my Gmail account. And now I'm going to access the A360 C4R hub as an end user, not the team administrator. So be very careful about how you kind of approach this. I'm going to close this, and cancel that, and get to here. And so now you can see I'm logged in as my Dzan Ta at Gmail account. I have a different icon. That's the only way I can remember. And you'll see it shows you all of the projects that you have access to, owned by me and shared with me. So if I click owned by me, it'll show this. If I click shared with me, it'll show you this. Okay. And so we want to go through, and you know what, for the sake of safety, I'm going to actually close that, go back to Internet Explorer. I'm going to clear out my cache just to be safe. Give it a second. And then we'll head over to my Autodesk Hub. And I'm going to sign in. So let's see. That's the Eco House. That's good. I still have not seen the new A360 project that we created as me with the company. So it may take time for the A360 hub to get activated to show that data. That's okay. Let's head back to Revit and let's log out. And then I'm going to log in as my Gmail account. Oh, let's just double check. So I'm going to go in here and log in. And so as you can see, it actually changed my Revit username to my Autodesk ID, and that's a different one I can see. So if I click open, and I go to A360 again, remember I'm an end user now, I'm not the team administrator, you can see I don't have access to it. Why? The reason is because as the team administrator of the site, I have not given him that access. I have invited him, but I haven't given him that access. So I'm going to go ahead and log out again. And now I'm going to log in as the team administrator. And let's head over to the one that we created earlier. And head over to people. And this is invited. Head over to project members. And invitation to join the project is accepted. Okay. And let's see. So it may take some time for that particular account to show that that user has that access to that project. So let's head back to projects. Let's look at it again. Let's head back to people. And it still doesn't show. So this may take a little while, but once it shows up, then that particular user can actually access the Revit model. Okay, so now, as you can see, in Chrome actually is much faster than Internet Explorer. I've actually logged into my account with my Gmail account, and you can see in Chrome, here I am logged in. I have notification information that it's asked to invite. I'm going to click accept. You can see all of the projects that I have available, and here's the online demo test. I'm going to click here. It's going to list all of the folders that are available. And I can see the actual Revit model. Now, we have people in this project are listed as both myself as the team administrator, because it says admin, and then me as an end user. By the way, in Chrome, it defaults to the new interface of how things appear. Whereas with Internet Explorer, it shows different. So I'm going to head over to Favorites, Autodesk, and head over to my Hub 360 Home. And here I'm going to sign in, and you'll see I'm going to sign out. and sign in as a team administrator under Internet Explorer, just so you get an idea of the difference between the two. Okay. So as you can see, this is the old interface and how things are set up, and now you can see the two project team members. Whereas with Chrome, it looks slightly different. Nonetheless, you now have access as an end user to this. So I'm going to head over to Open. I'm going to click A360, and it should, being logged in as my Gmail account, give me access to that site. So I'll double click that folder. I'll select that model. You notice that it automatically found where that central model is, even though I moved it from the root location to the subfolder. I'm going to click Open. And now I have access to a new local model on my workstation as my Gmail account, synchronizing back to the master central model that's on the hub. So let's give it a second. And now I have that model open up. I can head over to Collaborate, head over to Work Sets, and I can see none of the work sets are open. Okay, so I can continue some work. Let's say, for example, I'm back to the building shell. I'm going to be the owner for now. And I'll pick, say, this wall, this wall, this wall. And we'll change its work set to building shell. We'll save our work. Save back to Central. And again, you'll notice that it's saving back to the A360 hub, to that particular project that we created earlier. Hit OK. And that information is saved. So whether you're working as a team administrator with Revit authoring capability, which is a default, by the way, or as an end user with Revit authoring capability, opening up a Revit model that's on the A360 hub of a project is the same. Again, relinquish any control if you need to close out the model. And then the one last thing I want to show, let's head back to A360. Head back to our model and head back to opening up that model again. This is a good check to verify you have good connectivity, you're logged into your Autodesk account, and you're opening up the model correctly from that location. I'd be cautious about clicking the shortcut links because if you're working with multiple Revit models, you might have issues. Okay. Now lastly, under the Collaborate tab, there's a Communicate tool. And if I click that icon, it'll bring up this Communicator. And it's going to list your projects and the particular project that you're in. It's going to list all the end users that are actively functioning and working within Revit on that particular model. You can click this icon for all of your contacts, for any chatting that you've done back and forth, and the timeline data stream of anything that occurs. So for example, if I do something as simple as saving to Central, and I let it save and I jump back, you're going to see this icon is adjusting and it's letting you know data is actually being pushed up to the A360 hub. Now, if you need to, you can right-click any chat user that's in the system and click chat with that contact. And you can put in here whatever you need. I continued your work with changing some walls to their exterior shell work set. You are welcome. Enter. So this information automatically gets sent to that particular user on that particular workstation. They'll get an alert, and then you guys can chat back and forth this way. If you need to, you can click this little cog wheel here, and it'll give you some information as to how the software, the Communicator window is actually functioning. For example, by default, it's not on top. It can be hidden behind the Revit interface, but you can check this to keep it on top if you have to. Okay, and then automatically loading the Communicator when the Revit software starts. And that's it. Let's head back to PowerPoint and let's verify that we covered the demonstration from the end user's perspective. We learned how to log into the hub. We learned how to open up a Revit model from within Revit. We learned how to save the data. We also learned the differences between accessing the hub as an end user versus a team administrator and what you can and cannot see. And with that, that is our A360 Collaboration for Revit demonstration. Thank you very much for watching. And should you have any questions, please contact me at your convenience. Thank you.